hope your monitor work and your battery not dead. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, so before you start that, some people are big me up and I say, I gotta get KFC. Jamaican KFC me want. Yeah, me wanting to know that nobody does it better. Big up yourself, Kevin Wright, I see you. Marie Majesty 411, Tanisha Ellis, Viv Chin, I see you. Trishy, big up yourself. Charnel Williams, Nor Loxley Gregory, Neville Lewis, Missy Bram Bram, Marlene Bowman, Daddy's little girl. I seen all of you. I'm calling my people on TikTok. Big up yourself. Munchi, Lisa, British One, Audrey. It's going so fast I can't keep up, but I know you're there. Thank you for joining and thank you for always trying to share within knowledge. Lexi.
Yes.
I want to start by asking you, how are you feeling about today's events?
I am very relieved, very happy. I think we got the most important thing, which was for the conviction to be quashed and the appeal to be allowed. While we would have wanted the men to go home to their families today, we live to fight another day. And we will see how things going from here as it relates to the retrial. The possibility of the retrial.
Well, so it's funny that you say that, and I'm using this platform to have the conversation because the legal luminaries are out. All the lawyers who are on what do they call that space? Jamaican Twitter. All the wides and all the narrows and all the J's and the M's and all. Everybody have something to say. And clearly, not to talk down on anybody, but the ones who never go law school, but they just know the law. And they say, oh, it's not gonna happen, and they I don't even know the word vitriol, the trolling on the internet that came with it. But to say to you, in terms of outcomes, when you say the possibility, do you realize that the media is not too au fait with the fact that the judgment has quashed the conviction, and
yes.
not only that it has quashed the conviction, but also it makes clear that our court has competent jurisdiction under the guidance of a Justice Sykes to do what is right. Rhetorical language to in my interpretation to say take it no further.
Exactly. That's the most important thing now, which for people to understand, it is not a done deal. It has not been said that there is going to be a retrial, which is how I see some persons redistributing it in the media to say that it has been ordered that there is going to be a retrial. That is not the case.
That's what I was getting at, because context matters, and the big word, in the Jamaican space is two of them fully done. That is to say, while it is that we have understanding of, it could be language, it could be French, like I'm a fully done chef. I can't cook. Some Rastaman can't cook. I'm from them. They have a big problem. That is important, and to give people the opportunity to digest what it is. But we're so important. We're so caught up, and I use the context platform to try to use satire and use comedy to educate the people and show them. I had posted, I think it was on Instagram or TikTok, a hearse breaking news. And it says, breaking news, the hearse catch a fire and the driver and the dead man escape alive without injuries. And because you're so fascinated by or fixated on being first to report, you don't get all the facts. Because you're so fixated on bringing the information to the public so you can say, I did it first. You don't grasp or have an understanding. And you even bring out the legal luminaries who possibly never even read 2 lines of the case to interpret what it is and give possibilities, and then it steers the nation into a wide confusion. And
Exactly.
on top of that, they worried about gathering, and they worried about St. Thomas and the powers that be. Because we know St. Thomas.
Because I saw a thing, I saw a thing before today, and
Mhm.
so I wouldn't have expected people to have that kind of attitude to it. Because there have been calls by some persons to have a repeal of the Obia Act in light
Yeah.
of certain things that were in the media before today.
Listen, I cannot believe me
Context.
as get the blame for the official repeal of the Obia Act. I never even made. I made no word about Obia.
No, the issue came up before today.
No man, I'm saying this is the opportunity now. But anyway, we're not going to go down the rabbit hole with nonsense. To distract the people from the fact that one of Jamaica's national treasure lost 12 years and counting of his life from a gamble, from a breach of his fair trial right, which the Privy Council now says is there, even if they're constrained, says it's unacceptable. It is not they cannot, notwithstanding the effect of discharging jury X, the miscreant juror, should never have sat on that jury.
And it's funny because I sit here remembering that in law school, I attended this appeal, the original appeal, as part of the I don't even remember what it's called. I think that you have to attend the court appearance. And I remember speaking with you, and I said to you, well, there's no way that they can lose their appeal because the evidence is so clear. And so it's so significant, it's so important for me to be sitting here today, having played a part in seeing the convictions of those men quashed. As unfortunate it is that it is only being done today.
Let me tell you something that is significant, because I'm not sure if they heard what you said a while ago. You said, I remember when I was in law school seeing their appeal. And for you to be saying you were in law school at the hearing of their appeal, I can say law school during their trial, and when there was a conviction, I remember posting on Facebook to Kartel and say, Kartel, the jury paper, and I know you remember it when I did the independent research paper on the jury paper. I said, Vybz, Kartel, this is the paper that is going to free you, and to know that this is information that we would have traversed over, and justice is so slow. And justice delayed is justice denied, which is why people are feeling that the men are not victorious. But I'm going to share with you about the effect, to put in context how significant and monumental today was. The conviction of a national treasure and others. Dancehall would have been robbed of the visual and the industry of a Vybz Kartel from an improper conviction. But it took him 12 years and a lot of months to fight it in unfortunate health conditions. And now their people will be defensive and start to say, yes, but he rejected the medical treatment. But the same hospitals where you see rat and roach are run up and down, the bad conditions, they want you to go under the knife, when clearly you've been saying, you don't like me, that's why I'm convicted. And the prosecution was done in such a way where I never get a fair trial. Let me not use language outside of that. And you're saying, I'm afraid of the state, so I won't go under the knife. Only Shorty must run me down with the knife. But don't worry. Nobody can run with a knife again. But anyway,
No, but what you're
to
saying, that is so, and I don't know how to get people to appreciate that. But what you just said, it is so important. How do
mhm.
you ask someone who the system has failed so disgustingly to say to them, hey, trust another organ of the state, trust the health system, the justice
No,
system might not have done well by you, but
I
trust
mean,
our health system.
facts. But
That's great.
there are people who will say that oh well he refused the treatment, so why is he complaining and being sick? Because
You get what you get.
humanity
That's crazy.
humanity humanity is lost. Jamaican people don't treat Jamaican people good. They
That's
just
crazy.
simply don't. It is a reality. Look how
And
they treat me. Look how them treat me. I just the diaspora treat me nice and give me KFC, you know. Oh, I knew to Lex.
show you my face there.
You did, yeah, I did. You sent me the picture, show off how
Yes,
you have. But
yes.
the point or where I'm trying to get with this though is to to get to the point that even after that you're expected to trust, you're expected to give trust, confidence when you're saying I'm aware of a system that is abusing me. And so any conversation about not wanting to take the treatment is only a wise person would would reject the treatment and do so also under legal advice.
Exactly,
And,
exactly.
and one must note that there was a expedited hearing which the Privy Council wasted no time in hearing and brought an expedited judgment. And
Grateful for that.
we grateful and see that as significant. But
Hmm.
in terms of the tone, you're in Jamaica and I'm here. Only you can tell me what is the tone, what is the atmosphere, what is the environment like.
Well, the most significant thing I'm seeing is a lot of people are confused as to the effects of the judgment. What does it mean
Mm-hmm,
for the men? And
mm-hmm,
as we were talking about earlier, I think persons don't understand, as I was saying, that it is not that they have ordered a retrial, they have remitted it to the Court of Appeal here, who will then make the decision whether or not there is going to be a retrial. So a lot of persons are already thinking, oh my God, he's going to go and have to find money to do a trial again and all those kind of things. We don't want to take our mind there. We want to remember the theme that we have been pushing, which is God and time.
mm. I love that. I love
And
that.
why this is important is the message that it sends to other persons to say that, hey, the system could have done this, and then, which is the message I'm seeing. No, look how the system failed him, and they're sending him back to the same system for them to retry him again and determine his fate.
Mm-hmm.
That is
So,
important because if we lose that kind of hope, the only thing I can see happening is complete anarchy.
well, I'm glad you say that because we're going to put that into context right now. And let me start by saying the system that they're making mention of, um, the jury trial took place post the charter.
Mm-hmm.
So the Charter of Rights was new. If you weren't going to law school at the time and if you weren't taught by Tracy Robinson, to be honest with you, I don't know how you would know the Charter.
That is
I'm saying that because I'm UWIcated, but even though I'm not up at UWI, but I've heard in spaces about the 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 live streaming of the matter, the case files and the coursework that has come in terms of from the university, both Mona through Tracy and everybody as well as at the law school to give people education in real time as the jurisprudence changes and preparation, kind of like how we had when we did the Quincy McEwen at school when we were learning about the charter and the different how important rights are. The right to life is not greater than the right to freedom of expression. All the rights are equal and must be respected. So I start there to say that it was Young, the Justice Campbell at the time. He didn't fix his mind to the charter, but also didn't fix his mind to the change in how to deal with fair trial right and his duty as the custos morum, the guardian of the Constitution, to fix his mind to say the fair trial right is no, there must be a demonstrably justifiable test to breach this right also. Separate from the telecommunications, and so the Constitution has, through the Charter, has given added protection to the citizen, so that the presumption of innocence, no matter what is going on over there and all that you're hearing, the hearing of evidence is nothing to a just verdict, a fair trial in a reasonable time by a fair and impartial jury. So that happened, and then came the Court of Appeal. And the Court of Appeal reasoning was identical to the reasoning of the Privy Council. I've read the judgment, but the outcome is what was different. And so that was at a time where NIDS wasn't upon us. The interpretation or the effect of the Constitution as interpreted by Justice Sykes in the Julian Robinson judgment. Did you know that Julian Robinson was the brother of Tracy Robinson?
Yes.
Can you believe great minds come from one family? And the father is a judge. That type of banter in a house, I can just imagine. That's like when me and Taffy banter. Not Peter, not you, but Taffy. Anyway, moving from that, but I want to also say before I ask you, it is after the appeal in 2020 and the conviction was upheld that in the fastest time possible there was a hearing, motion for leave. That's when I came on board as Kartel's attorney, and this motion goes before the court and was granted out of Jamaica. Significantly, as we went before Justice Brooks, who sat on the panel, Justice McDonald, Bishop, and Justice Straw. I'm saying this to show you that the court, as constituted, is a court of justice, and brilliant minds sit in the local space. So when I hear people calling it kangaroo court and this, I object, because we are a growing nation. We evolve, and that's why the jurisprudence grows through challenging the norms, challenging the customs, and introducing the new interpretation, a new way to look at the law, engaging these judges. And the judges says, understand this, and I want the people to know that at the granting of the leave to appeal, the Court of Appeal had said that at that time that court was functus. And the Court of Appeal made it clear that, listen, they recognize that the conviction ought to have been quashed. And they wrote the questions. And I need to make sure that this is clear. We proposed questions and they perfected the questions. And one of the questions, even though it wasn't answered by the board, it started off by saying, when somebody constitutional rights is breached from the collation, something of evidence, what is the effect of it, and our judges bound? They were asking rhetorical questions. I need to make that clear. And so in the judgment, seeing the Lords say, listen, the court is competent to deal with those issues, so we don't have to deal with it, because this trial was unfair on so many levels. They allowing the miscreant juror to it's an X-Men now, it's jury X, like Professor jury X is allowed to remain, and although the judge never had to investigate him or they made it clear about the chamber hearing that given the investigation, the defendants didn't have to be there. But key thing that we mustn't miss is they're saying, but the court is competent, and I agree. The court
Right.
is competent. We have gotten to a place where I don't care what happens. So when I go to court, and me have whole heap of lawsuits in a court. Me sue for everything. Me sue for JP. Me sue for education. Me sue when them trouble Rattigan. Me sue when Rattigan has a question. Everything we happen in Jamaica, me sue. I mean, should I name Isat sue? But
But
we have to say that
it's important that Jamaican people are clear on that. That it is not that the courts here are incompetent. And so we can trust them to make the right decisions and to do what is in the interest of justice. They will not turn a blind eye and see things happening and allow it to happen.
Right. So
we're not damned.
No, we're not. But just to vindicate the court, to say that the court asks questions, we can have a whole discussion as to whether or not those questions were answered. But I think that in my mind, because I was there, I think the questions were rhetorical, and because the answer to those questions are yes, it's undisputed,
right,
and because that is of utmost importance. I know that we certainly, myself and you, will be back before the Privy Council to answer similar questions for them to ultimately decide. And that's what's exciting about the law is I'm never mad at a judge at first instance if it doesn't go in my favor, because I understand wholesome the legal process. And there's nothing more beautiful than certainly not if you're sitting in prison, but from a lawyer standpoint, that you take the matter to the apex court, and the apex court gives you, the highest court in the land gives you a judgment that says you were right. Remember when I just came on this case and people are saying, the idiot and the this and the that, and you don't know the law, and the people who have been there long ago saying that it can't work like this. But the vindication comes at the end. So there are no losers when we're trying to change the jurisprudence.
And that's it. I like that. That's the point right there. And it is important to have attorneys who are willing to take on that kind of challenge. It's important for us, every Jamaican citizen. I was on with CVM earlier today, and Professor Donna Hope. And let me tell you, it was so interesting for me to sit there and hear someone who is not in the legal profession speak to the importance of this judgment, not just for the appellants, not just for the furtherance of the jurisprudence, but for every single Jamaican citizen to understand that we have rights and we must be treated as human beings in every facet of society. And if it is that those rights are infringed, they must be vindicated.
I agree. Somebody in the comments say, me still stuck at the point where you say, I want to find it so I can pin it. They say, me still stuck at the point where she said, trust them. Pepper C39. See it here. But they say, trust who? But not even trust my shadow. That's what they're saying. But I want you to respond to that.
Now I'm saying we have to. Yes, it's good that if it is that we don't believe we have had the proper recourse, there is, as you have referred to it, the apex court that we can go to say, hey, a decision was made here, and I don't think that it was in keeping with what should have happened. But we don't want to get to to a place where it only gets right if it goes to the Privy Council. Because the
Right.
reality is, most of us are poor and we will not be able to afford to go to the Privy Council. So what are we going to do? Just sit here and say, fold our hands and say, well, there's nothing more that I could do because I can't go to the Privy Council.
Right.
That's going
But
to be
then
problematic.
here's the next question though, and I think this question is so significant because what what does that mean for the people who actually cannot go to the Privy Council? Because you said it nicely, but what really does it mean if you cannot get to the Privy Council? Are your rights thrown out, or is it that one set of justice for you? What is the expectation there? Because before you answer that, I am 100% sure, and I did get a peep of the conversation that you guys had, is people are now aware that they have constitutional rights. People are now aware that their rights are being breached. People are now aware that people will go to great lengths and even disregard the law in their effort to do justice. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. And so, what then? What's the solution in your
Well,
mind?
in my mind, the difference, say for instance, when this matter came up, because you would have just indicated the struggles you yourself had in
Mm-hmm.
advance, the matter in the way that you saw was important as it relates to their constitutional rights and the issue with the jury.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I believe the importance of this judgment is that there will be more persons that are aware. So you can't trick people if they have the information. So it's not just about the attorneys who advocate. It's to guide people in how we do everything in our everyday lives. To
Mm-hmm.
remember that we are human beings with rights, and people must
Right.
not just willingly take them away from us, and we sit down and say, well, they must know what they're doing. You must know what you're doing too as a regular citizen. You must know
Mm-hmm. But
and know that more than one persons are aware of it. You can have your pick of persons that you can go to now to say, hey, my rights have been infringed. What do I need to do? So there is a discussion on rights, and it is so important for our country to be having those discussions now that we
mm,
weren't having 10 years ago.
all right. Let's talk about jury. Can we trust the jury now in light of social media? Is there what's your thought on that?
If there's to be a retrial or just
Mm.
overall,
Yeah, no, not the reach overall. What do you think?
I still do believe that the jury system is important. It's important to have regular people who think about things in a regular way, say, hey, do I believe this person is innocent, or do I believe this person is guilty or not guilty?
Mm-hmm.
Because the judges are going to be more focused on what the law is, but someone sitting on that panel is going to say, well, if it was me, what would I do? And
Mm-hmm.
that's an important consideration.
Somebody has asked the question. What is in this case? Even if you trust them, you couldn't trust them in this case. So sometimes it depends on the defendants, because what I will say is I trust the system. Big up yourself, Denver need. I've done jury trials since I wasn't a part of this trial, but the Tom Tavares KFC, in light of what he did to protect the constitutional aspect of the case, he did a great job. I think that, like I said, doing a trial in real time, it's completely different from when, and the judges would have said that in terms
Mhm,
of the pressure he was under, and they sympathize with the judge. So you have to
mhm.
sympathize with the lawyers as it's happening in real time. Sometimes there are even trials
Um,
where judges don't even wait on the lawyer to come to court. They just proceed without the lawyer because they want to move on. Um, and start the trial whether the person has a lawyer or not. There's just justice comes in many forms, and because of the human element, it doesn't mean that the system is broken. Because there are times you will get a jury who simply is just different from the other one that was a little bit more attentive, was a little bit more um, engaged versus another set who is not engaged and probably didn't even want to be in there in the first place. But the idea of a jury of your peers is that it's separate and apart from the system itself.
Right.
What is now clear to me is that the justice system is the judiciary, the judicial as set out in the Constitution, and defense lawyers and prosecutors are just players within the system. They are not the justice system. So the
Right.
prosecutor is there to prosecute and the defense is there to defend. You can't take it personal. The man who has to defend will defend, and the man who have to prosecute will have to prosecute.
True.
I know that the canons that is sacred in the Jamaican space says that prosecutors don't win cases; they do justice in the case.
Exactly.
Albeit, albeit defender, the defense wants to win because it's the man against the state. But representative of the states is to do justice, and a part of doing justice is to be able to say, I certainly don't see a fair trial happening, so I would stop it. Or regardless of the fact, I must say I can't participate. So it's incumbent on even defense attorneys to say I can't participate in this unfairness, because when it has to trail through the system, people are going to criticize whether you did something right or not. So the participation in and of itself is wholly unacceptable.
That is true. And I'm happy you bring up Denver Needham, because if there is no other case that you and I have done that makes me see the importance of the jury, is that case.
Yeah. You say it is the what?
I'm saying that case that we did, Mr. Needham's case, is to me a shining example of the importance of the jury system.
Yeah, that with this, which is what I'm saying.
They were able to see things from the aspect of a father, and not just a person A and a person B, and the law says this, and that is the end of it.
Right, so there are two school of thoughts now. I won't tell you how I feel about the Needham thing, except Mr. Needham bust a case. And then I hear through the grapevine that anyway, we'll leave that one alone. What there is two school of thought. Where somebody says, you hear somebody, Kevin is saying they have to set them free, no more trial. But then you have the other side, the two Jamaicas, where people are saying, oh yes, it's time to spend taxpayers' money, the money they said they didn't want to waste on a trial, because it would be too expensive to have a new trial. They want to waste that money now, even in the face of not wanting to, pay, who forget pay the real money to do whatever. They have it to retry. So, what is your position on the two school of thoughts, or you just think that at this point it shouldn't be in the public, tried in the public?
No, I think that it is important that it is in the public space and that persons are able to express a view on it, because the fact of the matter is, it could be anybody that is in that position. And how would you want your trial to go? And this is why, as I said, the jury system is important.
Right. Loving that. All right, so one of the things, and before I even get into the idea, and I don't know if you can stay until 8 o'clock, but before we get to the next, okay, before we get to the next hour, I just want to continue to bring some clarity, because this platform is about context matters. It's about having persons. Natalie's inspiration. How you doing? You say hi, and I saw that. we want to pretty much give clarity. People are saying how him not get bail and when him a go get bail, and I don't know where they're getting the pockets of information for. I just want to say that the Privy Council website, the jcpc.uk, if you go on the website, the very judgment that I'm talking about, and I'm really not going to read from the judgment today, unless I absolutely have to. But the judgment is for the public to read. It's for public consumption because it's a learning moment. It will be a teachable moment, but certainly it is a learning moment for all to see. So I would invite persons to look at the judgment. Look at the press summary if you don't like to read the full judgment, and having read it, then ask questions, ask competent questions, ask questions that make sense, ask questions that will enhance the conversation. And because we're saying we want to learn, we want to be in a position to know our rights, because you never know when you let me tell you something. If you're in Jamaica, your father, your brother, your sister, your friends, nobody is immune. I never know in Jamaica's history that I hear say a lawyer thump out a girl teeth. That this is something happening and dragged before the court like a common criminal. I didn't know that happened. But I speak on that because also I'm still in awe that of all the events that took place today, that somebody would think that as a topic of discussion